What do you think about the belief that some people have, Jews especially, that the Jewish people is the chosen people, also known as Sha'bullah al-Mukhtar?
Look, the ancient Jewish, I believe they are, but I will ask you one question. How do you connect every citizen of your state to that story?
I don't.
If you really go to the faith and the time of Abraham and the way you claim that you came from Sarah and I came from Hagar, Palestinians are way before Hagar. They both came from the same dad, actually, but they have two separate moms. One, they call him the royal lady, Sarah, and then one, the slave lady, who's Hagar. So in reality, you are fighting your own ancestor brothers. And that's what does not make sense to me, why it's happening, no?
Israel is only talking about separating and two states and building higher walls and more war and more army, and it doesn't seem to be leading anywhere. Because okay, now you know what happened with the Hamas. Is it reasonable to think that if Israel wipes Gaza off the face of the earth, then this will sort out the problem and there will never be any more terror?
If this Zionist governments who came to the Holy Land, our land, ever allowed themselves to be decent and equal to everybody else, there will never be a war and never be any bad thing happen to them.
You Palestinians, you have billions of, you have a huge amount of Arab nations consisting of billions of people. What do you want from us? Why don't you leave us alone? Leave us, the poor Jews, alone and go to your countries.
If you tell the Ukrainian today, 200 years ago, you used to be Russian, go back to Russia, leave your country and leave it for me, you know, it's just weird, you know.
Yeah.
And I understand where you're coming from, but I am, you know, some of us came from Arabic background, some of us no. We are the Levantine, we are the Aramic. We did not come from Arabia. Not all of us came from Arabia. Some of us did. Like, you know, you have these, you know, you have Iraqi Jewish, you have Khazarian Jewish, you have Russian Jewish, you have every Jewish in the world. I could tell you, go back to Khazaria 900 years ago, you belong to Khazaria. And, you know, so it's like a lot of people telling me, oh, we debunked Khazaria. I say, but I debunked Arabia too, you know.
Yeah.
So you cannot come and tell me to go, because if you want to tell a Ukrainian to go back to Russia, that's not going to justify for you to have his country. You know?
Not only that, Russia won't accept them. If the Ukrainians said, yeah, we want to go back to Russia, it's not like Russia will say, yeah, come on in. Of course not.
100%. When you telling me I'm an Arab, that
Yeah.
I could go back to the Arab country. How do you know that I'm an Arab?
Because you speak Arabic?
If you speak English, that means you are English?
No, definitely not.
So not everybody in the homeland is Arabs. And when you come and say, go back to your country or go back to these Arabs or Muslim country, that's not, it's like, no way, this is unacceptable, because
Yes,
we're not.
of course.
You know?
We are taught to deny the fact that there are how many millions of Arabs living in the West Bank. Nobody spoke about the Arabs in the territories. You know, it was like objectified. That's the enemy and they're over there and we need to protect ourselves from you guys because you are the bad guys.
I know the system is built to brainwash you and to make you look at enemies, and they want to unite you under fear. Every time I meet an Israeli Jewish, I start putting my shoes, my foot in your shoes, and I'm really start realizing you guys does not know nothing. It's like there is some kind of like shadow, like there is some kind of brainwash, there is some kind of blockage. When you sit with the Israeli one-to-one or with the Jewish one-to-one, and you just move that kind of the history between us and all the suffering that we went through, you just find them amazing. They just want to know how we can communicate together. I asked him this question, and you know what he said? Do not fail in the trap of my government to make me look evil and hate me. Do not hate me. He's asking me that, to not hate him, because every time we revenge to the civilians, we are making the government win and the citizen be away from us. So I start feeling, in a way, I start feeling different. I start thinking different, and that's where is some of my changes in my life, how to think about, the state of Israel and the Jewish people.
Part of the brainwash is that all Arabs want to throw the Jews to the sea, and they don't really want peace with Israel. And it's written in the Quran, apparently.
Let me tell you something. There is a Torah and there is the Talmud. The Torah is God's word. The Talmud is who you wrote in Babylon. It's written by a human being. In the Islamic culture or the Islamic faith, I don't practice the religion, and I never been a religious person. There is two sources of information. One is the Quran and one is the Hadith or the Sunni. The problem is not with the Quran as a book. For example, غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. He's not saying anything about Jewish or a Christian in this one. He's not called مغضوب عليهم as Jewish and ضالين is the Christians. But in the interpretation of that verse, it will tell you he referred to Jewish and Christian. And that was a huge mistake because you are interpreting the Quran based on your own interpretation. Quran is actually admire or bring Moses' name and Jesus' name more than Muhammad himself. So the Quran is another, continuous of the faith of the Abrahamic faith, and it's just teach love and communication. It tells you to defend yourself. It tells you how to do the war, but it does not tell you how to kill Jews. That's my knowledge.
Behind every rock there is a Jew, and you have to kill the Jew behind the rock, something like that.
This is coming from, Wahhabism, Islamic Brotherhood, Salafism. The people, like, for example, ISIS translate the Quran based on ISIS mentality, but that does not mean the Quran is like. We never been taught in the book of the Islam to hate any Jewish. We are the closest people ever. So whatever that interpretation is coming from, stories and hadith and interpretation that have nothing to do with the teaching of Quran.
If any nation will ever destroy Israel, it's meant to be Iran, as far as I was told.
Iran is another puppet. There is no difference between Iran and anybody else. The same bosses for Netanyahu is for the Iranian. Iranian is meant and happened to be there to make all wars and create wars for nothing. We don't believe it. It's not going to do anything for Palestine.
What did you want from the Israelis? Why did you start the Intifada?
We want our freedom. We was not allowed to go anywhere. You never travel the country. You don't have a freedom. You don't have rights. You don't have anything. You are like the whole people. You have refugees living in refugees camps. They don't have any future. They living under, bad condition, waiting for the United Nations to give him food. So, and imagine you are seeing a next door settlers called Ofra. They are like living top life, beautiful houses, beautiful gardens, beautiful securities, beautiful jobs. And you go and you work there like a slave, like our people goes to work in Ofra and treated like slaves.
Let's say Israel would have said, okay, here's your freedom.
If Israel chose to treat Palestinians equally in that time and to allow them, to give them their rights and give them their constitutional right and equally to every other Jewish, there will never be an intifada. It will be peaceful. Everybody will be,
I want more details.
We don't have any right like you at all. Like, for example, if I want to travel, if I need to get imagine if I want to get my ID, I go to military office. I am not allowed to write my name the way I want to write my name. An Israeli employee or soldier writes my name. So you're not free. Checkpoints, shooting people, blocking people. You don't have insurance. You don't have Medicare. You don't have any right. You don't have any future. People live in poverty.
Economically, why is the economical situation so bad in the West Bank and Gaza? Because what's being prevented? Because
you are controlled under military control. The person I go see in Idara Madaniya and the Center Command, Civilian Center Command, it's military. I never see a civilian in my life other than the settler. So you are not treated as you are the citizen. And they call you Sukkan Yehuda wa Samira, the resident of Judea and Samaria. We are the residents. They don't call us Palestinian. They don't call us the native. And imagine in my town, until today, You live, but you don't own. Imagine my grandfather's house it's been sitting there for 600 years. And this is no joke, brother. When you go get approval to build your house, they tell you you are a resident, but you're not an owner of that house. Why? How can a foreign government who was established in 1948 comes to me and to give me like a license to build a house in my town, but tells me I don't own that house? We cannot travel out of the country to Jordan. Jordan does not allow us to come there. If we're going to travel, we travel via Tel Aviv airport. And guess what? Imagine the way they treat me. You as an Israeli maybe go 3 hours before, I go 7 hours before. And they strip you, they deal with you. And even there is a Shin Bet officer will take you to your seat. And it's like you are sitting in the flight and always somebody's looking at you like you are a suspect that you're going to do something bad. So we are not treated as a human. And I felt it, I saw it, I lived it. The Intifada was Israelis come to us to attack us. The military comes to us and attack us. We was not going to attack them anywhere. You ask these settlers why they are doing that, who's living there illegally, who's taking the land illegally. Like you just find out this mobile home today and 20 days later there is few houses. They build these houses illegally. You come to ask them to leave and the military comes to start shooting on you. So this is why, these settlers come from all over the world to get free land because God told him, you are chosen and I am your slave. The Intifada started in Gaza, then moved to the West Bank, and it was more aggressive in Gaza. You know why?
Why?
Because more unjust in Gaza, more restriction in Gaza. Anytime you see an extra heat, an extra reaction, it's because somebody is impressed more. The Intifada kind of woke me up. They arrested me. I was tortured like crazy, man. I spent 2 years in prison. They catch me in Hawara checkpoint. They take me to Nablus for 3 days. I do not sleep half an hour in 3 days. They beat you so bad. Then they take me to Ramallah. 86 days interrogated for something I never did.
What?
And by the way,
but what was the interrogation about?
Asking us if we burned this car and did this to this settler, but it was not me. Like they said, you are one of them. I said, no. So it's like they interrogating you, and I stayed there for 86 days before I did my 2 years time. And I met people who still in jail today. Imagine Nasr Abu Hamid he died in prison for cancer. And guess what? His body is still under arrest. Where in the world you will find government or an entity or a race that punished you when you are dead? How are you gonna look in front of the Palestinian who witnessing this thing?
Yes.
It's just sometimes like collective punishment. This is not like you don't see difference between good Palestinian and bad Palestinian. You treat everybody the same. You block everybody. In the Intifada, we felt like the whole world is sympathizing with us. Little kids throwing rocks. We want to be free until Ishaq Rabin realized that this is time to treat these people differently. So Gaza was under a lot of stress until, the agreement come and all the peace agreement come and Arafat, Abu Ammar came and they start this. He got an airport, he got port, and he started, establishing for the Palestinian states. And then everything, the death of Yasser Arafat, we think he's assassinated by the Mossad, like Rabin. They got rid of both of them because they're bringing change. I know Israelis say we left Gaza. You don't leave Gaza with an agreement. Sharon decided to leave Gaza with no agreement. He never make an agreement. He just decided to take the settlers from Gaza and put them in West Bank. And he just left it like this. And then Hamas take over the Gaza Strip. And now, look who's Hamas. Who's been supporting Hamas for the past 2 years? Hamas harmed us more than it helped us. We don't agree with suicide bombs in restaurant and in market. This is disgusting. To me, it's disgusting. If any Israeli going to ask the question to himself, you need to ask the first person who's going to be responsible for Hamas strength is Netanyahu and Smotrich. They said it in their own. If you want to get ready of the Palestinian future for Palestinian state, get ready of the Palestinian Authority, strength Hamas.
What did they think would be the advantage for Israel?
PLO is recognized internationally. Abbas, PLO, Fatah, all these people who signed agreement with Israel, recognize Israel and Oslo agreement, they consider to be the legal representative of the Palestinian people. So we can go to the court justice and we can, file cases against crimes, and we can go to the United Nations and get approval, and we act like a state, but we're not full state, So Netanyahu's mentality, if you consider Hamas to be a terrorist group, Hamas will never be recognized in the international community. So by strengthening Hamas, you're going to weaken the PA. So by us to cut the Palestinians from getting their state, we have to make the PA and President Abbas look so weak, so bad that he's not the man of power and he have no power, but we make Hamas strong. And that's why Netanyahu was giving him hundreds of millions of dollars until you saw what happened on October 7th. I will show you Smotrich saying that in his own mouth, and Netanyahu saying this in his own mouth, that to get rid of the Palestinian dream in West Bank, you need to support Hamas. And that's what they was doing. And that's why all the money came from Qatar to Tel Aviv, and it was escorted by Israelis personnel to give the cash to Gaza, to Hamas. That's why we are facing what we're facing today. I'm telling you something, the Palestinians, we are not going anywhere. I believe by us getting us together like this and educating each other about our suffering, we hope that more Jews understand and start participating in the politics where we can eliminate right-wing government. And I want my people to understand, when I call a friend of you or a brother, when I call Joseph brother, that I mean it. And we don't have any problem with Judaism. Our only problem is occupation and Zionism. And until the Zionists realize that we are equal and we have equal right in our homeland, there will never be peace. The idea of us talking to each other and exchanging and brainstorming things together, just to tell you, I will walk with this to everywhere I go. And I will guarantee you, we'll walk together. I'll walk with Joseph. I'll walk with the Federation. You will be welcome in every Palestinian house. They don't have a problem with you as a Jewish. Imagine every demonstration happen right now all over the world. We have Jews come to support us. So the problem is not about Jewish and Islam. This is all propaganda. This is all misleading. Nobody wants to kill you because you are Jewish. If we have equal right like you, we all gonna be able to live and be free in our homeland.
And the last thing is about our common enemy. So our common enemy really is our governments and whoever is running the governments, because the governments are puppets. So up above the governments, there are forces that want to keep the conflict going. And they are my enemies as much as they are your enemies.
I agree 100%. Your common enemy is your ignorance, and you're not looking for more things, and you're not looking for answers, and you're not communicating with the people next to you as they are your fellow humans. Every other government in the world doing that to control their people. So I believe the government have a lot of things to do with what's going on, and that's what they want us to do. They want us to be always in war because they are benefiting from war more than benefiting from peace.
Absolutely. Okay. Saeed Aziz, it was a pleasure talking to you as always. I wish you a pleasant day, and we shall meet again in the next podcast.
Thank you, brother. God bless you.